Good morning.
Morning.
So, stewardship is being good stewards of God's blessings. Speak louder. Okay. Stewardship is being good stewards of God's blessings. It's kind of a simple statement and pretty straightforward. I've been part of the Stewardship Commission for a little while, a couple of years. And I wanted to talk about it. And so, one thing that I believe is that our church is it's an earthly representation of God's presence in this world. And I brought that a little bit further, and I came to the thought that if Christ walked into the church just now, he would already know who here might need him. And he might have been down at the corner already helping somebody, but he would be saying, "What can I do for you?" And I thought it was interesting because for the past couple Sundays, Reverend Ann and I think Stephen as well was talking about Jesus coming here to serve instead of be served. But really, and I'll reference the song that we sang this morning, Jesus is here with us. If you remember, when two or more are gathered, he's right here, and he's right here right now. And then I asked myself the question is, how do I give evidence for the God spark or the Jesus in me? And how can I serve, and how can I not be served? And it's not my job to be served, but to serve. And I reflected on my life and thought about the idea of my wealth and my well-being. And up until recently, actually this year, I came to the conclusion many times my whole life that this is mine. I did this. This is my accomplishment. It belongs to me. And I was wrong. I mean, where does everything come from? It comes from God. And as we're supposed to be a representation of that love, which again was in another song this morning, makes me happy, how do we exemplify that? And how do we do something about it? The readings are already preordained, but we're talking about Job too, and it was interesting because Job finally realized God's blessings upon him when everything was taken from him. And I thought, oh, I hope that doesn't happen to me. But by and large, it reminds me also of the idea that church and Christ's relationship with each other is exemplified in the earthly sense of marriage. And God's love for us, an example of that is our family. And an analogy came about in my mind when I asked my daughter to share something she had, and she said, "That's mine." And I was like, wait a minute, I gave you that. And I thought, what could God be thinking about us when everything comes from him and how we're willing to share that? Briefly thought about Moses. The last time he hit the rock with a stick, he did it of his own accord. It kept him from getting to the promised land. And I thought about myself, and it's like, wait a minute, I've been thinking I've been doing all of this on my own, and it's not true. So, Reverend Ann has said it a couple of times, it's our responsibility to give joyfully. or an effort to give joyfully. And I know a couple of years ago that it's not I, it's we, and my wife is here with us this morning, and we doubled our pledge, and that was giving till it hurt. It felt a little hurtful. I was like, oh my goodness. And again, we're raising our commitment some, but I'm doing it joyfully now. And trying to express how that came about is something I've been trying to figure out to explain, and it's hard to explain. And I think if you look at it scientifically, our feelings don't have language. Our cerebral part of our brain has language, and how do we get those two connected? But I don't know as if I have an ability to explain how I shifted from giving till it hurts to giving joyfully. And it is our responsibility to take care of the earth we're in, our church, our families, our community. Thank you.